Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a focused learner looking to figure out how to safely and effectively equip a congregation with biblical counseling education, well, you've landed in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking the Restoring Hope School of Biblical Counseling, or RHSBC, and their institutional partnership program. But more specifically, we are really homing in on the boundaries behind local ministry. We're going to look closely at the structural limits, the legal guidelines, and those absolutely vital operational boundaries that make healthy local ministry possible. We've got a lot of fantastic practical information to cover, so let's get right to it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, coming alongside the church. Second, setting clear academic boundaries. Third, the 3 partnership pathways. Fourth, navigating financial and marketing rules. And finally, we'll wrap up with the non-licensure distinction.
Starting off with Part 1, Coming Alongside the Church, focusing on a posture of support. The most important thing to grasp right out of the gate is that this entire program is built on a very specific philosophy. RHSBC is designed to support, not replace or compete with, local pastoral ministry. As their framework perfectly puts it, healthy partnership is not about borrowing a name. It is about shared service, honest boundaries, and faithful stewardship. I love that phrasing. They aren't just handing out logos. They are building a boundary-first framework. Expectations are crystal clear from day one, so that both the institution and the local church are entirely protected. Which brings us to Part 2, Setting Clear Academic Boundaries. This is where we establish the dividing line. Now, what's really interesting about this is how they handle shared service. You see, to have true shared service, you absolutely must have strict dividing lines between local ministry and centralized academic oversight. It's kind of like a giant puzzle where everyone holds their specific piece. On the local level, the partner gets to do the beautiful hands-on ministry work, facilitating discussion, leading prayer, mentoring students, and supervising practical application. Meanwhile, RHSBC retains total centralized authority over the heavy administrative lifting. We're talking admissions, enrollment, maintaining student records, issuing grades, tracking completion, and giving out awards. This dividing line ensures the local church doesn't get bogged down running an independent school, while academic integrity remains perfectly intact. And to maintain that integrity, local facilitators have to follow some incredibly strict compliance boundaries. I'm going to rapid-fire these off because they really show how seriously RHSBC takes legal and academic compliance. Ready? A facilitator must actually complete the assigned course before they teach it, and they have to earn at least a 90% grade. They've got to undergo specific training covering privacy, boundaries, and crisis referral, as well as training on the technology platform itself. Plus, they cannot alter the learning outcomes or remove any required course material, and they have absolutely no access to official student records. For ministry leader, these boundaries are the ultimate proof of quality control and legal safety.
Moving to Part 3, the 3 partnership pathways. This is all about escalating engagement. So once a church understands those foundational boundaries, they can choose from 3 specific pathways that fit comfortably within those borders. You get an instant grasp of the financial entry points here. It moves from a completely hands-off referral ministry tier with 0 setup cost up to an extension ministry partner tier with a $300 setup fee, and finally to a branded training center with a $600 setup fee. Notice how the affiliate commission rates also jump from 10% to 15% as the church takes on a bit more responsibility. Let's break these down so you know exactly what each one entails. Let's start with the simplest boundary, the referral ministry tier. This is a no-cost relationship designed for leaders who want to connect their congregations with trusted, scripture-grounded biblical counseling education, but who really don't want or need to run local cohorts. You simply use approved links, you use approved disclosure language, and Restoring Hope Ministries manages all the enrollment and records. It's clean, it's simple, and it requires 0 local academic administration.
Stepping things up a level, we have the Extension Ministry Partner. This is the middle tier, requiring a $300 total initial setup. So that's a $50 application review and a $250 activation fee once you're approved. This one is absolutely perfect for ministries that are ready to support local discussion, prayer, and mentoring. You get administrator orientation and approved co-brandable resources. Basically, it allows you to actively host cohorts using central RHSBC oversight without accidentally creating your own unregulated independent school.
And finally, we have the branded training center. With the Restoring Hope Ministries structure as our anchor, this tier represents the most complex boundary and the deepest level of integration. It's designed specifically for mature churches and ministry organizations with really stable leadership and a clear training mission.
This tier requires a $600 setup fee and involves a formal organizational review, deep facilitator preparation, and permission to use approved brand assets. It really lets you represent your church accurately as an approved local training partner. You know, the whole shebang.
Part 4. Navigating Financial and Marketing Rules. This boils down to faithful stewardship.
In any ministry partnership, financial transparency is literally just as critical as academic boundaries. These compliance rules are strict for sure, but they're also freeing. First, there's absolutely no promise of enrollment or income levels. Second, and this is a major one, partners must openly and clearly disclose any financial or commission relationships publicly. For instance, you might just pop a note in your church bulletin stating that the ministry receives a referral commission from eligible enrollments. Transparency is key here. You also can't improperly stack compensation roles, and it's clearly noted that application fees become non-refundable once a substantive review begins. Actually, there's also an incredibly cool option here where partners can voluntarily direct their earned affiliate commissions straight into the Hope Inside Scholarship Fund to help other students. Talk about a win-win.
Now let's move to and see how this builds if a church decides this framework is right for them. It's a very concrete 4-step onboarding process. Step 1. You connect with RHM and RHSBC to identify your specific ministry need. Step 2. You submit the institutional partner application. Step 3. The organization completes a thorough review covering leadership, safety, delivery, and brand standards. And Step 4. You receive written approval, your selected services, and a concrete activation plan. It is highly structured, so absolutely nothing falls through the cracks.
And finally, Part 5, the non-licensure distinction. We really need to talk about crucial limitations.
So the crucial point of this entire explainer really comes down to understanding the absolute limits of this training. RHSBC education prepares learners for pastoral and biblical counseling within the church, period. It does not qualify a student for state professional licensure. Partners have to heavily emphasize and distinguish pastoral care from licensed clinical services. And this isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a firm, non-negotiable legal boundary. Local ministries facilitating these courses must commit to employing emergency procedures, mandated reporting, and professional referral procedures whenever a situation goes beyond the scope of pastoral care and into clinical necessity. It is all about keeping the congregation and the individual safely cared for at all times.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative question to consider. Is your ministry ready to expand its care capacity while honoring faithful boundaries? As we've seen throughout this explainer, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to equip your people, but you absolutely have to respect the guardrails. Ultimately, these strict boundaries aren't there to restrict your ministry. They exist to protect it. They allow your church to safely and confidently carry hope farther. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this structured approach to ministry partnership.